Okay, guys, we are back looking at the Tempest here for our English 201 class. This is the final text. But once we make our way through the Tempest, this semester will be over. This is this class consists of we're studying 3 examples of literature, and those 3 examples are Kafka's. We did Phoenix and the Turtle as a kind of nice opener with the comic book, and then we did Kafka's Metamorphosis, and then we did Othello, and now we're doing the Tempest. So. The thing that I'm looking at in The Tempest is to walk through this idea that Prospero is a metaphor for Shakespeare. Um, because Prospero's art, though they use the art means skill, but of course it also means works of art. And so it's interesting to compare Prospero's art, which is magic, with Shakespeare's art, which is playwriting, and they have a lot of similarities. And so I've been going through some things in Prospero to kind of take a look at this metaphor again, because again, point of the class is that there are these literary tools, metaphor and irony. And sound and ideas, and then some kind of advanced summary stuff where you really want to notice as much as possible. To think as these are tools you use to think about stories, to think about literature, to think about art, and so I've kind of been using these tools as we go through. I taught them to you in the first week of class, and the whole point of this is just to kind of test them out on stories so you can see how they work, with the idea that later in life, after you're done with this class, when you watch a movie, you will notice things like metaphors and ideas and ironies, and your summary, you'll notice more interesting things than other people notice about, say, character psychology. So I would take a look at this, and that's sort of the whole thing we're doing. You guys know you already did a paper on Kafka. There's a paper on Othello you can do. It's up on the website. I recommend you do it. Pretty soon, I'm going to put a paper for the Tempest up, and that'll be your 3rd paper. There is a 4th paper, which is you writing about. You're going to pick something to write about, Kafka or Othello or the Tempest, and compare it to something modern, and that's paper 4, and I'll have that to you pretty soon. Actually, the assignment itself is already in the syllabus, so you can take a look at that and do it. You can kind of start it whenever you want. It does involve a little bit of research, and I can show you how to do that, although certainly you don't have to don't do research first. So if you want to start paper 4, if you haven't done paper 2 on Othello, do it. If you have done paper 2 on Othello, you could skip ahead to paper 4 and start writing about it. Now, you may not know how to do research. I can show you how to do that, but my recommendation is you write the paper first and then add in research to a paper that's already finished. So if you haven't done the Othello paper, do it. It's on the blog. And if you have done the Othello paper, now is the time to move on to paper 4. Which at least you can get a draft of paper 4 done, add in research later once I've had a chance to talk about research and sort of how that works. So, and then, of course, comment on the blogs, and I recommend you declare the class credit, no credit. I think that is going to make life easier for most of you guys, unless you're really happy with, unless you've already done the first 2 papers and you're really happy with your grades, I recommend that you declare the class credit, no credit. You can get all your papers into me by May 14th, but please remember that a B is the highest grade I can give you on a first draft. So if you're not going credit, no credit, if you want a grade, you're going to need to get me the papers before May 14th so you can do a second draft if you're gunning for an A. Otherwise, because that's the thing, if you get them to me early, I can give you feedback. I'll take them as late as May 14th, but there won't be a lot of time for me to get back to you at that point, so you might want to try to get me stuff earlier than May 14th. Again, you can pass if you get me all the stuff on May 14th, but I won't be able to give you any feedback. So, okay. Let's take a look at where we are now with Prospero. I just want to grab a little minor, stupid thing. One of these things nobody but me would notice. The top of page 5 with the Tempest. Top of page 5 in the Tempest, Prospero is a wizard, and he has a servant named Ariel, and I don't know what Ariel is. Not a human being. Ariel is some kind of magical sprite creature, some kind of little, I don't know what Ariel is, like a fairy or like a sprite or like a little magical person, can transform into other objects and transforms into monsters, can sort of helps Prospero control the weather. And there's an interesting little detail. Nobody cares about this, but I care about it. Prospero says to Ariel, "Go make thyself like the nymphs of the sea," meaning transform yourself into, Ariel looks like one thing, and a nymph of the sea is a different kind of mythology creature. So he says, go transform yourself into this other thing. "Be subject to no sight but thine and mine, invisible to every eyeball else." Now, I hope you see there is an irony there. He says, I want you to transform yourself into this other kind of magic. You're one kind of magical creature, you're Ariel, and I want you to transform yourself into a nymph of the sea. That's like a different magical creature. He says, and then he says, be invisible. You see the irony? What fucking difference does it make what Ariel looks like if Ariel is invisible? That's an irony. That's a contrast. Those are opposites, right? If he says, look like this, also be invisible. How can it be both? But one way of thinking about Prospero is that Prospero likes a show. Prospero likes illusions. He likes illusions to entertain other people, but he really also just likes them for himself. It's a bizarre thing to tell Ariel to transform your shape change into another creature and also be invisible. It suggests that Prospero will be able to see Ariel. So it suggests that the transformation is just for Prospero's entertainment. Prospero's a guy who likes seeing creatures in different shapes, because he's the only person who will see Ariel look like another shape, because Ariel is going to be invisible to everybody. He says, make yourself invisible to everyone else. He says, invisible to every eyeball else. Be subject to no sight but thine and mine, meaning the only people that can see you are you and me. Also, shape change into this other creature. Well, the only reason he wants him to shape change is because it just entertains Prospero to have him look different. But no one else is going to even notice because he'll be invisible. So it's a little tiny irony. But it suggests something about the way that Prospero's illusions are very much about kind of his own sort of entertainment. Oh, by the way, last time I talked about Prospero getting addicted to books and kind of losing track of reality, which he'll do again. It's sort of Prospero's main problem is that he gets distracted. He loves books and he's not that interested in reality. The books distract him from reality. One of the things that makes that interesting, I think, I was asking you guys to think about people who are addicted to movies or porn or binge watching Netflix and different kinds of things. But video games is a big one. Video games is a situation where you will spend, my friend Brady loves this video game called Nier Automata. And he spent like 200, 300 hours playing this video game. 300 hours? How's that? You think it's crazy that Prospero got lost in books and forgot about his duties as the governor of Italy. But if you're playing a video game for 200 hours, what on earth has happened to your time? You have gotten invested in illusions, and you haven't gotten any farther. So, okay, cool. Let's go see what else we have to talk about in this video. All right, gonna go find you some other things to do. Okay. This is a part of the play that I really like, and this will be sort of fun. So one of the things you got to remember with Shakespeare plays, and this is a little bit strange, is that Shakespeare plays didn't have any sets. When you go see a play now, there'll be like a setting. You can tell where they are from just looking around at the set. But Shakespeare plays didn't have. Shakespeare's a metaphor for Prospero. Prospero's a metaphor for Shakespeare. That Shakespeare plays didn't have any setting of any kind. The only way you could know about the setting was the characters would say, welcome to my house. And then you'd know they were in a house. You can't actually see the house. They just say, welcome to my house. Or a character will be like, look at these beautiful stars in the sky. And then you, the audience, would know it's nighttime. Because these plays were all performed during the day, outside. Because they didn't have like spotlights for indoor theater. This was like outside theater, which means they were all performed in the sunshine. So if a scene took place at night, they would have to... if the scene was performed at night, they would just say, look at the moon. And then you would be like, it's night for them. And that's the only way you have to know is what the actors say. Okay, so there's an interesting moment on page 7 where several of the people who shipwrecked on this island, Antonio, Sebastian, Gonzalo, this guy says, the air breathes upon us here most sweetly. And Sebastian disagrees. He said, it's not sweet, it's if it had lungs and rotten ones. Antonio says, "Urtor perfumed by a fen." That's something gross. So basically, this guy says, boy, it smells nice. And this guy says, it smells bad. And this other guy agrees with him. Gonzalo says, here, everything is advantageous to life. And Antonio says, true, save means to live. Of that, there's none or little. So this guy says, boy, the island's full of life. And these guys say, no, it's dead. This guy says, the island smells nice. And these guys say, no, it doesn't. How lush and lusty the grass looks. How green. The ground, indeed, is tawny, meaning brown. This is a funny moment in Shakespeare. It's odd because, of course, you, the audience, the only way you know what they're looking at is by what they say. Well, they're disagreeing with each other. One guy's saying, boy, it smells nice here. And the other guy says, no, it smells gross. He says, boy, the grass looks green. The other guy says, no, the grass looks brown. As an audience member, again, I always talk about author and audience. As an audience member, I have no idea who's correct. Normally, when a character says the grass is green, they're just standing on wooden boards. And they go, boy, the grass is green. And then you know they're outside in grass. But here, if the characters disagree about the color of the grass, I have no way of telling which one is correct. Or in a movie, if someone said the grass is green, the camera would show me the grass and I could see for myself. But that option in a play doesn't work here. So again, it's a thing, it's a way of confusing. The characters are confused about what this island is. So is the audience of the play. Okay, cool. See you in the next video.